Hey Bat fans, Luke here, ready to chat some Bat as we take a look at some of the week's Bat books. And I'm gonna say, yeah, this was a pretty solid Bat week, and I think we need to start with the one that was the creme de la creme, if you would, and that it was Batman issue number 9 this week, where we have the uh, art by Mikhail Janin of Grayson fame. He also did the art in that the Rebirth issue, the one with Julian Day, Calendar Man. And I'm gonna tell you up front that I think this was the best part of this book was Janin's art, and my favorite. I don't want to say one page because it was actually 2 page, but I think my most favorite part of the art in this issue was the 2 page splash of Batman going into Arkham Asylum. It was absolutely something. But what happens in this issue? It actually was pretty good, and I think Tom King is starting to hit his stride. Um, do I count him into the We Are Monster Men event? No, not really. I think that was more Orlando than anything else. Obviously, he was the overall orchestrator, so I don't know how much Tom King had to play in the Batman portions of that event. But I will say this: I Am Suicide. This is part one of I Am Suicide, issue number 9. But I mean, his whole entire run so far is all been kind of weaving together. Much like what's one of the best things I liked about Snyder's run is that from issue 1 all the way up until the very end, everything kind of connected. It didn't feel kind of segmented or blocked. Where 9 issues in, and you can kind of tell that Tom King's run is going to build on itself, and everything's going to connect into one overarching story, which I really do enjoy that. And this issue kicks up we'll call the second story arc of his run with I Am Suicide, where we're continuing do we call it the major thread now in his story? Maybe, I don't know, but Gotham Girl. And now Batman is trying to get a hold of Psycho Pirate to get Gotham Girl in a better state of mind, because that's what's really she's really still feeling the effect of Psycho Pirate, and in addition to that, she is dying because, well, she keeps using her power. So I'll be interested to see how the dying because of using her power thing kind of continues, whether or not, if indeed that even does continue. Because I will say Gotham was not really a fan. Gotham Girl, I'm really enjoying. The caveat to that is that when there's Gotham Girl, Duke is not too far behind, which I can't stand Duke. We're not going to go down that road. But be interested to see how that kind of continues in the story. And in order to get Psycho Pirate, Batman's got to form his own little Suicide Squad to go track him down. So he's going into Arkham Asylum to get his team built. And I'll say the nuggets you see inside, the nice little nods to previous Batman stories or other versions of Bat media was just pretty cool. Let's see, who do you see as he's going through Arkham Asylum? Kite Man. Kite Man, he gets a panel, a little cameo. Now, Kite Man, obviously, more recently, I think he was in issue 6. I think it was the finale of I Am Gotham. He was in there a couple pages. But yeah, Kite Man's there, so now he's incarcerated into Arkham Asylum. You see the Condiment King, Tweedledee, Tweedledum. You see Julian Day. Also, Vesker. Oh, what's his first name? The original ventriloquist. You see him in here. Jane Doe, I think. I can't remember the guy that she's with, I can't remember. But the most shocking one is the ending, which it makes sense. Spoiler, obviously, or Catwoman. Catwoman is picked, which her selection in the team makes sense because obviously I think Batman's going to try to steal Psycho Pirate away from Bane, so obviously you want to steal something, get the Master Thief. That's Selena Kyle. But the thing which I don't know is that how she is portrayed here was that like she was like the baddest of the bad. I mean baddest of the bad, but like they were saying she killed like over 200 people, and they have her in a straitjacket and the mask like the Silence of the Lambs mask. It's just I don't know what happened to Slim. I read pretty much the final two story arcs of Catwoman and New 52. I don't remember her killing that many people. Plus, she's a thief, not really a murderer. So, interested to see how they kind of explain that one. But that one I kind of scratched my head just a little bit. But overall, I mean, Tom King did a really good job in this story, and the art was just phenomenal. I'm giving this a 4 out of 5. I mean, this was really good, and man, Janen's art was just, I can't keep talking about Janen's art because it was just absolutely phenomenal. So we go from a really good book to one where I'm kind of not too sure what to think about. That's Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, Book 6. Got I forgot those two covers I had for Batman. That was obviously the regular one by Mikhail Janin and the variant by Tim Sale. This one on the left is the Andy Kubert cover, the standard cover, and on the right, that Batman looks eerily like Frank Miller. His take on the Jock. That face looks like the one Jock variant he did with the face. That looks kind of too. So, to be honest, I don't even know who did that variant, but yeah, book 6. This comes off of a long hiatus, 2-3 months, something like that. And I think this book coming off that hiatus really was its detriment because I thought it had some momentum going up once we finished up issue number 5, and kind of like the rain has come, rain and blood. Kryptonite rain came down and was hitting all the Kandorians, and it had there was a good cliffhanger, good momentum, and then we took this long break, and then we pick up, and I think it lost a lot of its momentum. And overall in the story, what basically happens is the rain's coming down on the Kandorians, Batman and Superman fight this one, sort of the leader, and then toward the end, Batman gets hurt. To get pretty bluntly, he gets hit through his shoulder and the back through heat vision of one of the Kandorians and whatnot. Story-wise, it had its moments, but yeah, I will say the middle part of the book was actually really good. It was Batgirl battling Superman's daughter, and then toward the tail end of it, Wonder Woman shows up and takes control of her daughter. That was pretty good. The art in the middle of the story, Frank Miller's art, take it for what it is, but I think that was the best part of this book, was the middle story. Other than that, again, I didn't hate it, but definitely the break kind of took away a lot of momentum it had going in, and overall, just meh. I think we only got 2 more issues left, and I think that's about right. I think I don't know. Let's get a good penultimate issue, set it up, and then hopefully Azzarello and Miller can kind of knock it out of the ballpark, because I think it's about that time, I think, for this to end. I'll give that... I'm going to be a little harsh and give it a 2.5 out of 5. It was average. Okay, get back up. With Trinity, issue number 2. Art, story, inks, colors, the whole shebang bang done by Francis Manapul. And man, this was really good. The art in it was just phenomenal. It's almost worth the price of getting the book just for the art. But the story inside was good, and to be honest, you're reading it, and this one was good because it came in an ending which I didn't see coming, and it was like, what? And I tried to ponder it for a little bit, and initially, at first, it really didn't kind of make sense, but then you kind of think about it for a minute, and you're like, okay, it's not really a stretch. But before we go to the ending, this was good. It's kind of we get this kind of feel in the Superman book with the father-son relationship with Tomasi's take. And this Manipul kind of flips it on his head because, yeah, you still have a little bit of the father-son relationship with John and Clark, but now you see Clark with his father, and their interaction, because you gotta remember this is kind of like a time shift where Pa Kent doesn't really know that he's talking to Clark, and in fact he actually thinks that he's from Kandor, where they're coming to take his son away, and he's real defensive, but he does open up to the end. So that interaction part of the story is actually really good. I really did enjoy it. Batman, he cracks me up in this issue. One thing they do is they drive downtown Smallville in a little beat-up pickup truck, and as they're riding, Batman's like, "You got to be kidding me!" It's like, come on. It was kind of funny. The ending, another spoiler. We find out that as we left last issue, they kind of open up the doors to the barn, and it appears that they were going through another dimension of time. But actually, what occurs is Poison Ivy actually has them in some sort of dream catatonic state somehow, which kind of goes into. Well, I was kind of initially. At first, it was good to see. It's like Poison Ivy. Okay, I dig it. I mean, it's good to see what Pamela is going to do in this story. It's an interesting choice for the first villain of this title. So I was like, okay, got it. But the thing with Poison Ivy is that what she'll do with her victims is that she'll have them and kind of like brainwash, like they're kind of like under brain control, but they're operative. In Trinity, apparently what has happened is that they didn't go through time. They actually got put in, again, this catatonic state, and they're kind of like in a dream sequence. And how that dream sequence occurs, I don't know. That's where I'm kind of wondering how it happens again. Poison Ivy, it's not her thing. Her thing is more mind control, versus now this one just kind of puts him in a quasi coma. So, and her members of the Trinity are, again, they're kind of just knocked out. So, interested to see where they're gonna go with this. I hope they kind of flush that out. The plan, I don't know. Maybe it's just a plan, a side effect of a plan. I don't know. I'm not too sure. I could tell you from Pamela's point. It's not the norm, so I don't know if it's something that has to do with Superman's story. So we'll see. But still, this was fun. 3.5 out of 5. Trinity continues to be really good. Another good story. Nightwing, issue number 7. Tim Seeley and Fernandez continue to do just freaking awesome stuff in this. And we pick back up with Raptor. And we see, as we can kind of look at this cover here, this is in no way a misleading cover, because it is really hitting on one of the major themes in this book, was the fact that Raptor's a little bit of a stalker. And but yeah, it's what's going on here is that Nightwing, we actually get a cameo by the Tiger. Those who read Grayson know the Tiger. Agent 1? Not 7, that's James Bond, 007. Whatever. Tiger. Now they're gonna go ahead and take down the Cobra cult, but I'm sorry, the Court of Owls. I'm sorry, but unfortunately, the Cobra Cult gets beats him to the punch, and we find out is that kind of what we knew before was that the Cobra was getting a lot of the information that was being deciphered by Nightwing and the authorities in Spiral. The information is getting decoded to them as well, so they're kind of getting the information but at the same time, but they're able to act on it a little bit quicker. And again, this is where they beat him to the punch, take out some members of the Parliament of Owls, and Nightwing deciphers, you know what, I know who's behind this, and it's Raptor. And the interaction between Dick and Raptor was just really awesome in this. And we get a cameo of Damian. Damian makes an appearance in this. As well as Bruce Wayne. Now, a lot of people are going to, as they're reading this, they're going to be thinking, wow, that is really cheap. Basically what happens, we find out is Raptor knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. And Raptor actually takes out Bruce in the middle of a press conference and does so relatively easy. Now, I know some people are going to say basically two things. That while that was kind of cheap, that Raptor kind of took Batman out so easily with the idle threat that, hey, we can kind of do this the easy way, the hard way, and Bruce just kind of gives up. And two, wow, Bruce really just gave up. Now, I think that is totally in line with previous Bat stories, in that, especially we saw in the Arkham Knight, that one time when Bruce was getting a press conference, and then Harley and the gang of misfits, whatever, go to try to take the computer, and that's when Harley cuts off Lucius's finger, which that's a different book, another story, but. While Bruce kind of hung his own, I mean, he kind of took care of his own, but he didn't go overboard because remember he's always trying to protect his identity. So if he goes all Batman on Raptor in front of all these people, people are gonna make the connection. And man, Bruce Wayne is really pretty good. Man, that fighting style looks kind of familiar. Connect the dots. Hey, that's Batman. So I think that was kind of a telling way for Bruce to kind of go down, whereas, hey, I can't be too good, because obviously Bruce Wayne can kind of hang up at something like this. What else is he capable of? So I thought that was a good way to kind of maintain his identity, but the interaction between Dick and Raptor, again, is just really awesome, and they're really playing on the fact that Raptor knows Dick's mother pretty closely. And when you close the book, you see in the final page, you really kind of get that point hit home. The art in this was also just phenomenal. Fernandez's art was just awesome. Yeah, it's just so good. This book has been good from the jump. And I'm also going to give this a 4 out of 5. It was just, it's good, and it can only get better because the things they're hitting on, has the potential to be some really good stuff for the Nightwing character. Tim Seeley doing great. Alright, let's bring it down a little bit with Justice League issue number 7, which is State of Fear Part 2. From what I'm being told by my friends in the Comic Book Roundtable, this actually wraps up this story arc, and to be honest, man. Here's the thing. I know when Rebirth hit, one of the things I was kind of beat home, especially when dealing with the Batman titles, like, hey, this is no longer the Scott Snyder run. As much as I loved it, now we got Tom King doing it, and you kind of can't compare Tom King to Snyder's run, because it would be two different writing styles, a whole new look. So you kind of got to take that in perspective, and as you're reading it, don't try to have, that Scott Snyder type feel and interpretation as you're reading Tom King's Batman. It's not going to do Tom King any justice, and you're going to set yourself up for failure. And I remember saying the same exact thing with Justice League. It's like, all right, Hitch maybe not be my might not be my favorite, but hey, I can't have that Jeff Johns epic run in my head as I'm reading this. It's not gonna be fair to Brian Hitch. It's not fair to compare the two. But man, Hitch is just really making it hard. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's just this is like a totally different book, and it's some things are just not as flushed out, to be honest, and some of the characters are kind of in here. Their portion of the stories are just kind of throwaways. Like, to be honest, the cyborg Simon Baz portion of the story is there. The super cyborgs, playing football, and he's afraid everyone's looking at him, and Simon Baz is being an isolationist. It's just really bleh, to be perfectly honest. I did enjoy the Batman Superman interaction in here. The Aquaman Wonder Woman portion of the story that has been told. It's called Injustice. Too much violence in the world. Hey, we're superheroes. We can just sit there and get rid of all the violence. Tell everyone, hey, quit fighting, or we're gonna make you stop. Yeah, so you kind of retreading some already told stories there, and then Barry and Jessica, while their story was kind of interesting, it just turned out to be the major, I guess, the primary focus of this two issue story arc, and it was just kind of bland. The art I thought was okay, but basically in here it's, Jessica basically, I kid you not, throws up the fear entity, and she kind of defeats it and kind of breaks the hold it has over the members of the Justice League. And in doing so, Jessica sees some of the bad things that the other members of the Justice League are capable of, or the fears that they have, and I think it's just too much for her to handle, in addition to her own problems. So she decides to quit the Justice League. That's pretty much it. My buddy Travis brought up a good point. Hey, the good thing about this is it's just a short 2-issue story arc, and that's fine. I'm with that. I mean, it's good to have those. But at the same time, yeah, this story arc just really was as bland as it can get. I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5, a little below average. And Justice League's one of those stories I'm gonna stick with it because it's Justice League and whatnot. And yeah, fair enough. Maybe Hitch can catch his stride, and later issues to be good. But I just hope it gets better because, again, I get it. John's run was awesome. I can't compare it to the two, but I just hope it gets better. And I'm going to wrap it up with Harley Quinn issue number 6. Not going to go too far in depth in this because it's Harley Quinn, and the thing with her book, I think it's a niche book. A lot of people, not really a lot. We'll just say there's a contingent of folks that love it, and there's a contingent of people that just can't stand it. But it turns out to sell pretty good. Whatever. But to me, it's just one of those books where I read it, I have a great time reading it once, and that's it. I get a good chuckle, and then kind of move on. And this story kind of continues that trend. It was a good read. They're going undercover, and she goes to perform in her rock band in this concert, and she goes all psycho on people. Initially, people weren't having her performance, but as the show goes on, she gets a little violent on members of the crowd, and they love it. Go figure. Red Tool in this is just awesome. I want a Red Tool book. DC, please make it happen. Red Tool's own book. And at the very end, we see as she kind of goes up with the gang that she's trying to infiltrate a little bit. They go to have a good time, and in doing so, they kind of go to this fetish club, which deals with superheroes and supervillains. One thing that we do see in this, there is a Joker reference in this, and there was a bar of soap that Joker gave Harley, and in the bar of soap, a little necklace thing is actually on one of the members of the gang they're trying to infiltrate. So we'll see. Interesting parts in this. The art in this is pretty cool. Again, Red Tool's awesome. He just cracks me up. Good story. Art was okay. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. Harley Quinn continues to be fun, but for me, it's just pick it up, read it, have a good time, and kind of move on. Not one in particular that the majority of issues you're gonna reread again, at least in my perspective. So, anyway, those were my thoughts on this week's books. Hit me up in the comments below what you thought. We'll bat chat about it and kind of go from there. So, until next week, take care, everybody.